Hi, I'm Jeff Elder, and I was a member of the presidential crew on Air Force One for nearly 17 years. My main title, I was a flight attendant on Air Force One, and basically my job was I was in charge of social perceptiveness for all flight attendants, ensuring that they were able to converse with high-ranking individuals, to include the President of the United States. So on Air Force One, I traveled all over the world. Of course, I hit all 50 of the United States. I hit all of our territories. I went to all of the continents except for Antarctica, and I do plan on going to Antarctica one day. I worked for Presidents Bush, Clinton, and Bush, so 41, 42, and 43. My most memorable personal experience was when I flew President Clinton to Buffalo, New York, and I had 9 family members that were there to greet the president. And the president, when he first came out, he met my mom and dad, and the president of the United States made my mother and father feel like I was the most important person in the world. And that just meant the world to my parents. And that's one of the main things for me. I always wanted to make sure that my parents were proud of me. So once he did that, and then he said, Jeff, let's just take a picture of me, you, and your mom and dad first. And he did that, and my mom grabbed the president. And I said, Mom, you can't grab the president like that. And the president looks over at me. He says, Jeff, I love that stuff. And he grabs my mom back. So there they are, grabbing each other. And the head Secret Service agent, Lou Merletti, looks at me. He says, you know that, man. And I said, okay, so everything's cool. The most harrowing experience that I had was on September 11th, 2001, when America came under attack by terrorists. I was actually a member on Air Force One with President Bush, and that was one of the longest days of my life. The day started off, we were in Sarasota, Florida, and of course the crew gets to the aircraft a couple hours before the president. So we're there, and somebody says, a plane flew into the World Trade Center. Oh my goodness, what is it, foggy in New York? What's going on? So I go into the conference room, and there I'm watching Katie Couric and Matt Lauer on the Today Show talking about this plane that flew into the World Trade Center. So as we're sitting there watching this, it was a clear day and everything, and then we see another plane fly into the other trade center, and immediately we all knew what was going on. So the colonel came in and he called everyone to the conference room. He's like, okay, everybody turn off your cell phones, no communication with anybody in the world. If you communicate with anybody in the world, not only will you be off this crew, you'll be in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, our biggest military prison. So we went to our crew positions. Not long after that, the president's motorcade came driving up. He went right on the aircraft. As soon as he got on the aircraft, the doors closed, the other 2 engines started up, and we were moving in no time at all. We got to the runway, turned right on the runway, and then I heard a roar like I've never heard before. That 747-400 series engines, all of those engines were roaring, and the plane just started darting down the runway, and everybody was just holding on. In no time at all, we were airborne, and we were going at such a steep angle. It's just like we were in a rocket. And once we got above 10,000 feet, that's when they backed down just a little bit. Our job that day was to secure the president, make sure the president is safe. So those people that were on board, that was not the place that they needed to be. So we went back and told them, hey, look, if you're not a member of the Secret Service, Inner Circle of the President, or the Air Force One crew, you need to grab your things and come with us. We're like, Jeff, where are we going? He was like, look, that's not our concern right now. But right now, we need to just make sure that you get off this aircraft. Once they got off, the president came back on, and the aircraft was airborne again. We knew the Air Force One could fly for a very long time. It is in-flight refuelable, so it can fly for days if need be. We weren't sure what we were going to do because there was no contingencies in place at that time for something of this magnitude. The pinnacle of my career was when I got to Andrews Air Force Base and I started flying the presidents of the United States. It's nothing like it in the world to have the most powerful person in the world know you and call you by your first name, to bring them to my home. But just having the joy of seeing my mother and father having their son in such a wonderful position, it was very enlightening just to see them smile and have that pride of knowing that my son did this. So that was wonderful.